Hello! So, I was working on a little project of mine that I might feature on the channel, um, and it was the occasion for me to come back on the OS module, which is your basic module you come across whenever you want to automate anything on your computer and handle paths, files, and different stuff like that. So, I want to go through the very basics of the OS module that I wish I knew right away. So let's go and import the OS module. So what you can see that I have a file system I created on the left here that is just the basic like files with subfiles, folders, and different kind of files in there, so we can work on this. So the first thing you're usually gonna do with the OS module is get the current path you're working on, right? And so this is gonna be our address, I guess, and this is os.getCwd. Okay, and if we print this address, it's going to be the OS module file, because LearnOS is in the folder OS module, it's not in hello or random folder. Okay, so this is how you get your current address. But usually what you're going to do is manipulate those things. Maybe you want to reach another folder, right, for your project, for any kind of manipulation on your computer. And so for this, you're going to change directory, and you're going to basically say os does change directory, and here we might want to go to a completely different directory. Like I had this video, which was a video about a database that I wanted to use as an exercise. So we're going to do database exercise here. I already did it to try it out. And here we can try again to do this command, okay? And what are we going to get here? We're going to get first the OS module and then the database exercise file. So this is how we change from a file to another. So you saw me hard write the address of the database exercise here, and you saw me using forward slashes. Why is that? Well, if you use the normal address that you're going to get from your file, you're going to get this. And obviously this is the special characters you can use when working with strings. I'm not going to come back on that. It's from the core basics of Python to, for example, go to the next line. And so you have multiple ways of going around this. You have different solutions with the OS module, with a module called pathlib that I'm not going to go through, but you should definitely check that out. So pathlib. But inherently, what you could do is just do double backslash, which negates the effect of the backslash, but this is only going to affect Windows computers, so it means that going into Mac, anyone using your code will have a problem. So you can go with the forward slashes. What you could also do is use the os.path line, which is going to take into account this change, and so and make it cleaner. But overall, this is just a matter of like using the good nomenclature. So when you can change your directory, when you know how to get the path, you might want to do other things to your files. And for example, here with that problem, you can see that sometimes maybe adding an address to your file can be complicated. So for example, if I wanted to add to my address my hello file that is in there, so hello, you can see that I should be getting here, so os module / hello. So what am I going to do with this? Well, let's try to go to this this thing by calling it x. Okay. and we're gonna go to check out this thing. Okay, so what's gonna happen here? Well, we are here. You can see that we are in the new folder hello up there, and even if I use a forward slash up there, it's a backward slash down there, so it's working pretty well. But this is kind of dangerous and not very practical to use in your code. So if you have proper comments to do, what's better is to actually use the built-in OS method, which is os.path.join. And here what you're going to do is put two things. The first thing you're going to put is the path that you're coming from. So here let's say our address path. And then what you want to add to it. Okay? And so here it's the hello file. And what's going to happen here? Exactly the same thing. But why would we bother with this whole thing here? Well, it's because it's way cleaner, it won't make any issue, create any issue in your code. Using that, I could have an easier time dealing with variables in paths and handling like the address of all my files. It's still not the most recent and practical way. Again, you can use the module pathlib for that, but this is within the OS module the most convenient way, in my opinion, to change directories, add and modify your paths. Okay, and that is it for the path.join method. But what else can we do? Well, you might want to know what you have in your file, and so this is how you're gonna operate on everything in your directory. It's by getting all the files in your directory, right? And so you can get this by using the let's say dir list variable is going to be equal to os.listdir, okay, and of our address. Okay, and now we're gonna print our dir list like this. I don't know why I made double brackets. And you get this, you get a list, okay, of all the files and directories in your directory. So you have your hello file, your learn os.py, random file 1, HTML, CSS, random folder, etc., etc. So this is practical, so everything here is just a list, so you can obviously handle it like any normal list and just get the file here and maybe get an information. So for example, you could split the random file to .css to get the extension or just the name of the file. This is just pure and basic list of strings. That's all. But you might need deeper information than that, and obviously since it's strings you can operate like with it just doing a dot split or something like this, but those operations are not the cleanest. What I found out to be very useful is not the lister method, it is something a little more complicated, but bear with me, it's really useful, and it's the os.scandir method. So scandir is going to be equal to os.scandir. Okay, and what this does is that it's going to scan the current directory. Okay, we could add the address thing here, but we don't have to. It should work out just like this should work out. I actually didn't try this, so let's do it. See, so you don't have to put anything in there, but I wanted to illustrate it. Like, this is inherently the current path, okay? And what does scandir do? Well, let's print it. You get a scandir iterator object. So what is that? It's a list of dir entries. So dir entries as list of dir entry. So what are those objects? Those objects are iterative, okay, and you have multiple properties to them that you can access by a method. So for example, in this os.scandir, you can say, for example, for I in scandir, print I.name. Still need to learn how to type. And here you got the names of all the files, okay? So you can iterate through it and for all of them get the names. So hello learn_os random file up until text.txt. But you can get more than that. You can get I.path. And here get the /hello/everything to actually get everything here. Note that this dot represents your current directory. And you can also do checks on those. So for example, let's say that you want to act on the names of files in your directory, but not any folder. So what you're going to do is check out is dir, and what this is going to do is tell you, is it a directory or is it a file? Well, or is it not, I guess. And so you can see that here we have a directory, not a directory, a directory, and not. And so if we check it out this way, you can see that hello is a directory, learn_os is not, but then you reach random folder, which is, etc., etc. This works for is file too, and obviously the answers are completely reversed, which is pretty logical. So here it is for the scandir function. At first it was kind of complicated to me getting this dir entry objects, but in the end it's just that you can do a little help method on those to understand everything, get to the documentation. Usually if you need to test out what are the files in your directory, this is one of the best ways, definitely. Okay, so that was a big chunk of what I think is interesting in the module, but let's not finish here and let's create some files and some documents. So what if you want to create a new file? Well, it's pretty easy. You're just going to go os.mkdir, and here what you're going to do is just put on the address of your file. What happens if I just write down new like that? Boom, new file in my directory. Okay, now a little more complicated, but not that much again, is the os.makeDirs function. So what does that do? Well, like mkdir, it is going to create folders with an S. What does that mean? Well, it means that if the files don't exist, it's going to create every layer that you might have in this file. So let's say that here we are in this C OS module, okay? Well, I can just go with a layer 1 file and then a layer 2, and if it doesn't exist, it's going to create it. So let's check it out, and you see PyProject exists, OS module exists, but when you get to layer 1 it doesn't exist. So what does layer 1 do? It's created, and then if layer 2 won't exist because layer 1 didn't exist before, so it's going to create it. So makeDirs is really cool for you to organize everything that you're going to do right away. Like, you don't have to create files and then files within files and bother by changing the address of anything. You just create multiple layers, a whole tree of folders right away. So this is really useful. I just learned about that recently and I love it. Okay, and we basically covered most of the interesting things I had to talk about for the OS module, but I want to go into one last thing just to encourage you to check it out, just like pathlib. It's the Shuttle module. And why is that useful? I've been using it mainly because Shuttle is very practical to move around objects. And so what we're going to do here, for example, is that we can get, and I already have it because I don't want to bother to type, the text file that we have here, and we can then move it, use it as a second argument, to the same thing, okay? So this address, but we're going to put it in the layer 1 file. And let's go. Oh, it's better if I close this, okay. And boom, you could see it live. The text file went from here to here in the layer 1 file, okay. So shuttle.move, and then you can, from this same module, you can copy, you can paste, like it's very practical. So shuttle is another place that you want to dig into, and just again check into pathlib also, but this video is already long enough. I came back into all the informations I wanted to get back on, and maybe I'll share the project about the file sorting little thing that I did. It's linked to a GUI, but I'm not very sure that I want to go through another tutorial for a GUI, which is pretty long and don't learn much from that. But we'll see if I have time for this. Still making this just for fun, so you know. Well, keep on coding. Bye.